Well, on to the next 100 days. Alright, so easily my low, it's been going on as of late, but I didn't really want to draw much attention to it until now. And I think maybe it's like the time of year or whatever. But for whatever reason, it is just taking forever for my video to get uploaded on Facebook. Now you're probably wondering, well, why is that big a deal? Can't you upload to YouTube too? Well, yeah, I can. But more often than not, even now, I'm finding myself just easier to upload it to Facebook, download it, and then re-upload it to YouTube. I just find it much easier. The information for the video is already there, and I just simply go from there. But my high and my act of kindness is from the fact that I did get to see my folks last night, but particularly for my father, I actually went to go and support a charity that he was doing. He was doing a dinner for charity. He's part of the Rotary in Corning and Painted Post. And last night, they were actually having a very special dinner for fundraising money for the war that's going on in the Ukraine. It was a special dinner of kielbasa, pierogies, and applesauce. I'll be honest, last night was the very first time I ever legit gave applesauce a chance. I like it okay, but honestly I found like if you cut off a piece of kielbasa and dip that in the applesauce, it's better. At least to me it is. But it was still very good. The pierogies were good. I mean, it really wasn't much of a dinner per se, because the kielbasa was maybe a little bit longer than a typical hot dog. As for the pierogies, you only got like 4. And I get, because there's only so much they can give to people, and they really are trying to, make money. I think it was like $15 a person. But it was for a very good cause, so in the end, I'm really glad I did it. Although that does remind me, one of these days, I really should be doing a Mom Food Chronicle, at least on kielbasa. Just simply because, really kielbasa, Polish sausage, any of those things. Just simply because that is something my mom once did for us growing up. And sometimes she would make it for parties, but again, I guess I'll say that for another day. So, good morning and happy Friday, everyone. So, yeah, it's Friday. We are literally 1 week away from being able to go back up to Cuckoo Lake. It might actually be sooner if we can get the timing right. But yeah, Cuckoo Lake is literally on the horizon. And I'm excited, especially considering the fact that the weather has been absolutely beautiful lately. I mean, windy, and wind chill causes some problems. But for the most part, I really haven't seen much of a reason to complain about it being cold anymore. I mean, it's cool in the morning. I put on a light jacket in the morning at this time of year, just because, again, it really is cool and a little bit moist and misty, kind of. Although I think that has something to do with, the dew that's, on the grass, which sometimes it really has been a good long time since I really paid attention to some of the finer and simpler things in life, but I forgot how pretty morning dew looks. I forgot. It's pretty. I like it. It's one of those simple things in life that, you do see a lot, but, see it enough times, you start taking it for granted only for you to rediscover it. So that's really cool. So one thing I really have been looking up on the internet lately is just like the aftermath of the Amphibia ending. And I have to say, like, I haven't seen an overwhelmingly positive outcome from this. Like, I've heard things like, oh, Amphibia helped me get through, so-and-so, or this was the best 3 years of my life, or, I think I even heard someone yesterday say that it was probably the greatest finale maybe in cartoon history, which I guess I can make a case for that. I mean, at least a cartoon series finale that aired and didn't take forever to do it. Like, for example, Samurai Jack, yeah, that finale was absolutely beautiful. But we had to wait 11 years before it ended. Or, what's another example? Or shows like Gravity Falls that clearly ended far too soon. Or Adventure Time, which didn't really get its true finale until it was released on streaming with Finn and Jake together again. Which, I mean, yeah, I've done my video on Adventure Time already, so I don't really need to talk about that here. I mean, because the part of me was thinking, like, did I have a show I could call my favorite show of all time before Amphibia? And I would have to say the answer to that was yes and no. I'll say no. I would say no, just simply because while I'll remember a lot of really great shows for the rest of my life, no show like Amphibia has ever really made me respond with saying it's my favorite show of all time. If that makes sense. However, I would say yes, because as these shows were, airing and premiering, I would legitimately take time to go find and watch them, or, be there for when it premiered. I remember doing that a lot for Steven Universe. So, I guess in a bind, I might actually be able to break this down into some eras if I really thought about it. I mean, there was, Power Rangers growing up. Pokemon did that for me. Ed, Edd n Eddy, of course. Codename Kids Next Door. Rugrats. Rocko's Modern Life. The Angry Beavers. A little bit of the Wild Thornberrys. Did I mention Codename Kids Next Door? Oh, Codename Kids Next Door, Dexter's Laboratory, Ed, Edd n Eddy, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Disney, unfortunately, because, Disney was probably the channel I watched the least. But they did have, that one Saturday morning thing, and Recess was always really good. I would definitely stick around for that. Of course, I really should do a movie on Recess School Out if I ever get an opportunity to see it again. That was a good movie. I'll have to do that at some point. Gosh. When I was really, really, really little, this was literally the beginning of the 90s, the very end of the 80s. Shows like DuckTales and Muppet Babies were huge prominence back then. So needless to say, I would watch DuckTales for important episodes for this new reboot that just recently finished. Other than any of those, I guess the closest I could say that would legitimately, make me say that it was my favorite show, probably Steven Universe. But again, this is if I'm in a vacuum. I could literally list a lot more shows I've seen all throughout my life that have provided, quality entertainment and memories that I'll keep for the rest of my life. And In fact, I really could do a video on every single one of these shows. That's how good they are. I would never run out of content, at least. Of course, then it literally has to. Here's the thing: I would talk about these shows, but it has to like pop in my head and like, I should talk about the show. I got nothing going on. I'll talk about it here. But I've never actually had that response like Amphibia did for me. And maybe that's why I feel like I gravitated, as much as I do. Oh, speaking of gravitate, I mentioned earlier, Gravity Falls. That's another show that here's the thing. I missed out on the vast majority of it. I only really saw the finale, which, yeah, technically the finale spoiled everything for me. But I still wanted to see it. Or, even... Actually, that does remind me about one other thing. Before Steven Universe, I would say the one show that legitimately got me wanting to see more, and might have been the closest for me to say what I said about Amphibia, was probably Avatar: The Last Airbender. But again, even that show had its problems. One of these days, I really should make a video comparing true colors of Amphibia's true colors with Avatar: The Last Airbender's Crossroads of Destiny. That really is a comparison video that someone needs to make. If not me, then someone out there. Maybe Awestruck Vox at the round table could do that. That'd be good. I'm sure he'd probably have something to say about that. Shout out to Awestruck Vox on the round table. Anyway, and again, there's so many other shows that I could have told you at one point were my favorite, and I could make a video regaling my memories of all of them. But I really wouldn't know where to start. I really would not know where to start. I mean, the smartest idea I could have is maybe start from when I was at the earliest possible memories I have of, watching whatever, I suppose. But even then, I really wouldn't know where to start. Because even in the late 80s and early 90s, which was around the time I was born, you had several shows like the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, or, Muppet Babies, or the original DuckTales cartoon. I just realized I would need to do one massive giant video on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really should. Yeah, I didn't really get into it until the 2003 iteration, but that one from 1987 had such a really rocking theme song. It did. And that's another series of videos I could do all together, because one sort of project I've been sort of tinkering with is if I really should ever do a, top 100, TV show intros of all time. And a part of me thinks, yeah, I should. But just like any top whatever list you're doing, it's easy to pick what your number one is. It's easy to pick like the ones at the very top are definitely the easiest to pick because you know exactly what it is. But to go back my entire life for over 100 shows, man, that really would be hard. It'd be even harder considering the fact that a lot of these shows involve franchises that have lasted, decades. So if I did that, would I have to make every single show's intro its own sort of, number? Or should I just category all into one franchise? I mean, the latter would be easier to do, but it really wouldn't provide much of an explanation for why. If I did the former, I really would be risking, leaving someone off the list that really deserved it. That's why it's so hard. It's not impossible, it's just really, really, really hard to do. I'm sure I'll probably figure it out at some point. I mean, I have the entirety of the rest of my life to really figure this out. And, I'm only 32. Say that, I live to be a ripe old age of, 96. So another 64 years. I am absolutely positive that I would, make an even longer list of like 200, 300, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe even, there are probably maybe 1,000 shows I would see between now and, my actual passing. And I really wouldn't know how to categorize them all. I don't even know how to categorize 100. I'll tell you what though, if by some miracle I live to be 100 years old, and I'm going to need to have somebody remind me to do this, I think I would probably do like an All Century Watchlist. Like 100 years worth of shows that I've seen, I loved, I grew up with, etc. And go from there. Like the All Century Watchlist. Ooh, that would be a great idea. It would probably be the biggest undertaking anyone's ever done on the internet. Although I will admit, Watch Mojo actually tried to do like a top 100 movies of all time. That was a good list. I haven't seen it, I know they have. I know they've made it. Well, regardless, one thing is for sure. Whether I did, a top, 100 theme songs now, or an all-time watch list over 100 years, Amphibia is going to be on there. I mean, I can tell you right now, it'd be number one if I actually did the latter. And it'd be my top 3 if I did the former. Yeah, unfortunately, one of the things that really got me into watching Amphibia was when, I forget the name of this artist, but she did like a sort of lyric version of the Amphibia theme song. I thought that was going to be the theme song of the show. Although I will admit, a theme song with no lyrics, that does work too. I mean, hey, it definitely works for Amphibia. It's my favorite show of all time. And nothing's ever going to change that. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe button, follow me on the social media platforms, turn on those notifications on YouTube. I am very humble to make this video for all of you guys who watch and enjoy for the hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, for every one, Taco Challenge will be here to lend and always every back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.